Someone who works the land, the hammer swings from a callous hand. The backbone of the state, born and raised into this fate. It's a proud tradition, a way of life. Sons, daughters, husband and wife. With the family to work, to play and pray, and the chance to go back and do it the next day.
We're the Kurt family.
Welcome to our farm!
The most rewarding part of farming is seeing how your crops, you plant them, they grow, you harvest them, and then you feed them to the animals, and you see how the animals grow.
And I think being with your family as well. It gives you the opportunity to be with your family 7 days a week. Whether you're working or not working, you can still be with your family.
Sharing that with your family is amazing.
It's hard work, but it's rewarding work. You know, we're here every day. It's 24/7. It's a great way to bring up your kids and to make them understand what hard work's about.
For the fact that you can see the cycle of life and you can share that with your family.
Well, I was actually born into the farm life. My parents were part of a farm. My grandparents had the farm, so we're actually third generation.
I chose to farm because I was brought up as a little boy farming. You see plants coming up and you see these calves being born and grow up, and you had something to do with it.
We are really the only occupation that can provide and feed for the world, and there's no greater thing that you can do for people.
Oh, well, we rely on farmers for a lot more than just food nowadays. Yes, in Wisconsin we love our dairy products and we're very proud of our dairy industry, but our fresh fruits, our vegetables, our meat, all of that's important, but farmers are also a big part of our fuel sources now.
Hard work, it pays off. You help the community and stuff, and it puts food on our table every night.
Farmers are always trying to experiment and trying to get more out of less acreage. So we are always trying to improve, and if sometimes it don't work out, you always got next year to try it again, figure out how to make it better, improve the cycle, because everything's kind of on a yearly cycle on the farm.
Farmers have to be very good budgeters, accountants, gamblers, and many other things. I've heard my husband is an electrician, a plumber, a builder, a mechanic. There isn't really anything that I ask him to do that he doesn't either figure out how to do or already know how to do.
I guess you kind of base your life off of how much money you get from your milk check and your steer check. I mean, if you have a good year, you spend more money on improving things and making things easier and updating equipment and whatnot. And on a poor year, when there's no extra money to be left, you just hope you got your butt covered and next year's going to be a better year.
A start to a typical day, if there even is one, running a farm means a lot to get done. Farmers don't take vacations or get days off even. Trucks of milk are the only things leaving.
You know, we put in a lot of long hours, and I don't think people understand what it takes every single day for what we do here as a family to produce, the milk that's on the tables, your meat that you eat, that the hours that it takes, and that the dedication. There's a lot of stuff that we miss that we don't get to participate in, especially if it's anywhere between 4 and 7 at night. That's the opportunities that we miss of going to do stuff, but we're dedicated and we do it every day, so it's part of our life.
Just stay busy. I mean, we get up at 5:30 in the morning and start milking cows, and we get the cows fed and stop for breakfast for a little bit, and then from there it's whatever season it happens to be, either it's spring planting corn or summer making hay, and you do that all day until it's milking time again at 5:30, and you get that done, and by 9:30, 10 o'clock you're back in bed.
keeping fences, tractors, and the cow yard. Only thing simple about farm life is that it's simply hard. Roughed up knuckles and dirt under nails. All's on track as long as no equipment fails. Or no early frost on the orchards and fields. No worries of drought bringing lower yields. The rigors of farming place high demands. Sometimes risk is out of their hands.
I think the farming industry can be very dangerous in many ways. I think there's all of the things in farming are moving, have moving parts, and one accident can cause major problems for many people.
Over the 20 years that I've been here in Middleton and also previous to this, other areas in Wisconsin, I've seen personally easily 20 or so different types of agriculture-related, farm-related incidents, and quite a variety of them. Many of them not so serious, some very serious.
It takes a village to raise a child, and a family to raise a farm. The most important work, keep them free from harm.
In this old pig barn, we used to have pigs at this farm, but now we got out of that and we went into dairy farming. So Grandpa uses this as his laying hens. He's got about 35 of them. So this is our milk room, and we have our eggs from last night. They're drying, and we'll put them in our 12-pack cartons. And so we have our powder. They're in 50-pound bags, so it's like milk powder. You have your faucet, you fill the pail with water, you put about 6 scoops, you put it in the holder, and then all what sticks out is the nipple, and it looks like that. And then the calves come up and suck on it.
So back in 2007, he was up at the farm with my husband, and he was near a grain auger, and he went into the auger and accidentally, got his arm caught in the auger. His recovery went great, and ever since, he's been great about it. He never has complained, anything like that, and he can do just about anything. He plays baseball, football, he wrestles, he plays soccer, and he loves to farm. Even when he came home from the accident, he even said, well, when can we go back to the farm? This was just the next day.
We are avid hunters, so we're out there for turkey and for deer. On the acreage when we first purchased it in '96, since that time we've planted 70,000 trees on the property. So we have a small cabin out there, just like riding the four-wheeler out there. We have cameras for the wildlife and basically just enjoy it like anybody else would in the woods. We went out there that day and we've been out there probably for 2.5 hours. We had just stopped, and he had had his first gooseberry and first black cap or black raspberry, and found out what walnuts were. We stopped underneath a walnut tree at that time, and they picked the back end of the Ranger up with walnuts. Just pulling a little brush hog behind our Ranger, no bigger than the width of the Ranger, and you had to go real slow on it because anything over 5 miles an hour and it wouldn't cut. We just got around the corner and probably had maybe 2-3 minutes left when we'd be done for the day, and the kids had behaved the entire day. He stood up in the back of the Ranger to grab a walnut as we passed, and as he grabbed the walnut, he never let go, and the walnut never came off the tree, and it pulled him, and he stumbled off the back of the four-wheeler, and there's not much clearance on the bottom of those brush hogs, so it rolled up on top of him, and he went underneath it.
Those who are impacted by it, whether it's family members or co-workers who either witnessed it or are somehow involved in the rescue, it also impacts them long term. So, because they certainly have to remember all of those things that they witnessed and saw and all the events that took place.
Well, I think the tough thing for our kids is that they were both present and watched their brother die. And I think that's, at such a young age, you know, they were 9 and 6 at the time, and for them to have to see something like that is horrible, and obviously will scar them for life. But you know, when we tell them, you know, be careful, you know, you might get hurt or this might happen, that, you know, now they know. I think what our kids are taking from it is that, you know, they believe in heaven, and they know that there's something better on the other side waiting for them when they do pass, and they know that they'll see their brother. As far as moving forward, we've tried to use Derek as an example of the good there is in people with our Acts of Kindness campaign, with trying to pay it forward to others. We've done some improvements out at the ballpark in his name to leave a legacy for him, so others that might not have known him will get to know the kind of kid that he was.
Certainly in our profession, we do a lot of things, you know, that we're trained to always be safe in what we do, and, you know, approach a scene always, you know, asking ourselves, is this scene safe? And it's the same thing that, you know, farm people have to do, and when they're working in their environment, is always ask themselves, is what they're about to do, you know, is all the things that you know about safety being, you know, considered in that case? Making sure that you're just not doing things quick, but, you know, do things in a safe manner.
You know, I think you can do, as a parent or even as a farmer, you can do everything that you can to try to protect yourself from an accident, but that's just what it is. It's an accident. No matter how careful you are and how well you prepare, some things are going to happen. In a day in the life of a farmer riding a tractor, anything could happen, and you could fall out. You know, back in the day, I remember kids used to ride on the wheel wells of the tractors, and I still see it today. And you know, it just takes one bump and something could happen. So I don't know if you can actually ever prepare yourself to be 100% accident-free.
I rode the tractor with my dad and with my grandpa, and we've had this discussion with my husband on several times, and I've got him convinced now that he's not taking our grandkids out anymore either, or our children aren't either, because it's just such a dangerous thing to do. But it does tend to be something that people view as a tradition. But there's a whole lot of better traditions that you can establish in your family, whether it's playing with your kids with tractors in the sandbox, or buying them ride on tractors, or taking them out and having them help with these age-appropriate tasks.
When they leave the house, I'll often say, just be safe, be careful, you know, make sure you're walking with your head up, and make sure you know where you're going and your surroundings, especially around the equipment. Especially when we're doing hay and stuff, there's a lot of equipment moving around. Just be careful. You know, we stressed that so many times, and they understand that. They get it.
When we originally moved to the farm with our family, I was doing all sorts of things, looking at things from a different viewpoint. I was looking at railings that I would not necessarily want to jump off of, but my kids are definitely going to want to jump off of. So things like putting railings where there's edges, or putting things around the manure pump and the manure pit, because it's a very deep place where I don't want my kids, and kids are very curious. So anything I still think of, I still try to promote the safety on the farm, but there's always things you're not going to think of. The other thing we do to promote farm safety is try to always be with them. Knowing where they are, knowing what they're doing, knowing what they're going to be doing, and we run with walkie-talkies a lot too, so that we can talk to them and stay in communication with them.
In the last several years, the injury rate for children has gone down. A number of years back, it was at about 23,000 youths a year that were injured on farm, and youths and children. Now that number has dropped to under 14,000 a year. So we've had some really great progress in reducing the number of injuries on farms. I think a big part of that reason is because today's farm parents are much more open to safety interventions, to talking to us about keeping our children safe, and they're more conscious about it. So it makes our job a whole lot easier.
Accidents are going to happen, and as far as kids, listen to your parents. It's simple. It's just parents know they're given that gift of raising the child, and you know, so often kids just think that they're above that, or that they're invincible, and you know, it's so easy to just not listen.
I think farming has changed in safety aspects because the tractors are all cabbed now. They have buddy seats with seat belts. So I feel more comfortable with our kids in the tractor, honestly, because I know that when they're riding along, they're seat belted. If something would happen, that they'd be okay.
Well, the website that we've designed that is specifically for farm parents is at cultivatesafety.org. And you can get the information for different types of guidelines for kids working. You can get information on building safe play areas for farms, on farms for your children. One of the big areas for danger for children is those young toddlers, because they can very quickly wander in front of a tractor or a piece of moving equipment. So there's information on how to build play areas that are safe for these kids.
We wear helmets, neck guards, and chest guards for riding the four-wheelers. Because if you're going down a hill and your four-wheeler tips, you don't really want to get hurt.
That's part of the message, and what we're trying to get out here is in everything you do, safety is big.
We're really, really proud of our farmers, and we think that farming is a great, great occupation. We also know it's a very dangerous occupation. We know that it's important that we keep that next generation interested in farming, but also that we keep them safe. We depend on you for food, for fuel, for education, for entertainment, for so much, and we just want to help in any way we can.
Kids may not remember all the things you say, but you better believe they study you every day. You teach by the way you do things, and you do them right. So when your head hits the pillow, you get a good sleep that night.
I help by cleaning the parlor. Sometimes I unhook and hook up wagons, and it's fun.
We have Colton, our oldest, he's 11. We have him do chores in the barn when the dairy cattle aren't in there anymore. He washes down the holding area. He also helps bed the steers, which we do that when they're locked out of the building, so that's a little bit safer. With our youngest, who's 8, he doesn't have any chores he does every day, but he helps us when he can be with us.
At the end of milking, that's about 2 hours, and then we clean up for a half an hour usually, where you scrape all the poop and stuff, then you scrape it down the alley. And then we got some hoses that you wash the sides off and the floor, and that's mostly what I do up there and stuff.
Farming is our future.
As a tribute to the generations before, what you pass down will be much more than the land, the buildings, and the rows. The wisdom of you reap what you sow.
It's hard work, but it's as nice a life as you can find.